have to say to you guys?
I was really, he was really impressive. He was just talking about, uh, gave a little bit of a spiel of what it takes and the hard work and the details, and he uh, he actually talked like a coach, which it doesn't surprise me because I've been around how competitive he is and would assume how detailed he is. And made it a point of the camaraderie and respect level of Major League Baseball and all the way up. He's got two boys at the University of Texas, and he certainly spoke to those guys and looked around the room and said every one of you is going to be needed if you guys are going to make a championship run, and those type of details. And then opened it up for questions and answers. And of course, the guys had some good questions about what does he think about it the day of a start, and amazing how detailed he is beyond the physical aspect of how hard I know he worked, because I saw him when he was a summer player in between his sophomore and junior year at Texas, and he was an animal back then. But just as far as how prepared he was and the details and some of the things that you should certainly think the management and coaches at the major league level are that detailed, but don't always think maybe the players are. And it was a tremendous 35 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever it was.
What do you think your starters? I see you got the three penciled out. Is that your thought going forward, or is it kind of throw all these guys out there for a few innings and then settle on a rotation?
Well, I don't. It's unrealistic to think that they're going to get close to 100 or into their hundreds. We've been preparing for them to maybe get to about 90 pitches. It kind of depends on how they do that. Can they get 7 innings and 90 pitches if they're effective with their pitches and economical? But it's a long season, so you almost go into each game thinking that you're going to have to use a long guy, even if you're throwing a perfect game, to get to the backside of the bullpen, whoever that might be. That's a little bit more up in the air at this point.
Those three starters, though, you're in mind for the season, or
yeah, that was clearly who deserved to be the guys. Carranza is in that mix. A freshman named Noel is in that mix. And a freshman named Acuna is in that mix, and a freshman named Nelson. So they'll pitch innings too, and that the order or who gets to start when we get down to 3 games a weekend could possibly change. But clearly, Peterson, Mercer, and Stringer were the 3 best guys. So
Brack at the back of the bullpen.
Yeah, he's not sure if we're going to use Brack this first weekend. He was had a little stuff going on with his back, nothing. Enough to keep him out, so that he hasn't probably had enough taste of competitiveness yet. I know he'll want to pitch, but whether we're the adults and try to pick our spot, we want him with us, so he's definitely going to travel, so we can monitor his progress. But he's thrown in a couple scrimmages and looked good. He's got the velocity, but might not be as sharp as he needs to be called a stopper right now.
Who takes that back to the bullpen then?
We're going to give it to a freshman to begin with, Kenyon Jovan.
Okay.
He's looked the part and done very well. And the other guy that didn't get to pitch very much last year, that's passed all the challenges in the bullpen, has been Connor Swetch. So those are our top 2 guys. And then we got a little guy that when he runs out to the mound, nobody's going to go, wow, who's this guy, Randy Johnson? Or his name's Jesse Hobaika. I think he's, whatever he is, 5'6", and might be 110 pounds or something. But he gets guys out. He pitches, so he changes speeds and has command of 4 pitches. And so he'll be in the mix in the bullpen too, as a lot of guys will.
Jovan playing the field too, or are you going to look at him just as a bullpen guy?
Yeah, we've kind of emphasized pitching more with him. It's pretty tough as a freshman to come in and get everything right away. He had some academic challenges in the fall quarter, and so he was in the Jake with some, getting tutored and studying and so forth. And he's done that. He did a good job. He ended up really doing well academically. So he was a little behind, and he was working a little bit at third, a little bit at first, and that's not out of the realm of possibility. You might see him there as the season goes along. Right now, he's got a chance to DH for us against a left or right-handed pitcher, pinch hit for us. The problem with that role and being the closer is, you got one place to pinch hit, and that's the DH, and then you have to stay in to be the closer. So that shackles us a little bit about our flexibility with him. But certainly his role first and foremost would be as our closer, because that's where I think he's most valuable to us right away.
I think just about every year your guys' closer has been, a junior or so between, Nogasak and Sherfy and so on. How's that changed for you guys if it's a younger guy in there?
Well, it will be. I think when Brack gets back and acclimated and healthy, he's been the eighth inning guy. He's been the, in the mix kind of guy. And when he's healthy, the best way to put it is I hope Kenyon keeps him out of that. That means he's doing awfully well. So it's nice to have two, especially early in the season, three weekends in a row. We're going 4-game series, and the last thing we want to do to begin the season is pitch a guy 3 straight games or even back-to-back games if we can prevent it.
Besides wins, what would constitute a good weekend series in your eyes?
Well, the obvious is, the bottom line is you need to win, and it's going to be a difficult challenge. I know Coach Batesel, Jamie Walton was their director last year, knows their personnel. Of course, Barco's there. Coach Batesel and I go back to, he was a professor at Cal State Fullerton when I was coaching there in his Northridge days. And Steve Rousey's a good friend, the pitching coach. And I've heard that they like their team as much as any team they've had since the '08 championship. So it's a veteran club. Right out of the gate, we have a terrific challenge with Tyler Thomas, their starting pitcher, because he was on my summer team, my USA team. And that's not an easy place to go in and play well. I reflect back to when this program was building, and we had a crummy year in '09, our very first year. We went into Fresno and we ended up sweeping them 4 games. And that was a huge foundation block for not only that year making the playoffs, but this entire culture and program. Because it's so difficult to win at Fresno, they're very traditional. They've got their homebrew fans down the line that yell and scream at you and get you out of character, and they're very good and well coached. So I think you start with, let's try to win the first game, and ultimately when it's all said and done, if we're fortunate enough to win the series 3 out of 4, I think that's a good start.
How confident are you with this team as the season begins and what you've seen in inter-squad scrimmages and so on?
Well, it's hard to tell, Mike, because you're scrimmaging each other, and recently we put an A team against a B team. I don't think this is the deepest team I've ever had, but those games were tight. Those scrimmages were tight. I think that the Goldfarb injury kind of has shaken things up a bit. I'd like to be more solidified in the outfield than we are, and I'd like to have our pitching roles a little bit more solidified, but we've kind of taken it as it's come, and there's a lot of question marks. To answer your question, I certainly like the way they've responded to our challenges. And the kids seem to be very, as all of us, anxious to go and anxious to compete against somebody else, and we'll have to figure out if we're worthy of being in anybody's picture as far as being ranked and so forth. I like the way we play baseball. I think almost every single year you'd like to have a little more pitching depth and a little more power, or a little more speed, or those type of things. But I do like the way we're the cohesiveness and the togetherness and their competitive toughness. I think so far, of course, we haven't played anybody in a different color, but I think they might have a chance to be a little bit ornery, a little bit competitive, hopefully.
The Goldfarb injury, does that just amplify what Jake Bennett is going to mean to you guys, both
Yeah.
at the plate and in the field?
Yeah, right now he's going to be the center fielder, and he's going to be in the 3-hole. And if you asked every single guy on the team, pick one leader, either his name or Peterson's name is going to come to the forefront. So got a lot of weight on his shoulders. Hopefully he doesn't look at it as I got to do everything, but we're going to count on him to be a cog, and I think Jake. We call him sawed-off JB. He's the kind of guy that makes everybody around rise up. And now you say, who would be our best player? Who would be our best pitcher? Balta's in there, and that's a name I haven't brought to the forefront. 9 home runs and a lot of RBIs, and he's worked very hard. And worked very hard is a key statement, because I think in years that you're mentally tough, your best players are your hardest workers, and we have that. So that's a good start on leadership, and hopefully that spreads itself out through the rest of the guys, including the newcomers. They're going to be asked to do quite a bit.
How about your corner outfielders?
To start with, it's going to be Hagen and Stutzman and Wright, both converted catchers. Yeah, but they're both athletic enough, and they've done well. And Balt will be the left fielder, and he'll be in there every single day. And Steer will be the third baseman, and there's a freshman there. And Patslaff, an experienced middle infielder, will be the shortstop. McCulloch and Brashears are battling at second. McCulloch will get the first crack at it on Friday, and he's done a little bit better than Carson recently. And Casser will be the first baseman, and Cisnero will be the catcher to begin with.
What your lineup? You got guys you got penciled in at the top. You mentioned Bennett at the 3.
Yeah, it depends on if it's left or right. We'll change that a little bit, where Steer will hit second against a left-handed pitcher, and McCulloch will hit second against, he'll hit first, and Casser will hit second against the right-handed pitcher. And then we'll split up some of the lefties. We're pretty heavy on left-handed hitters, which in baseball that's a good problem, but you don't want to be too one-dimensional, because then all of a sudden, whether it's Tyler Thomas or any other good left-hander comes in and you have too many left-handed hitters, you'd like to break that up with some right-handed guys in there. So, and that's what Hagen and Joban and Steer and Patslaff hitting right-handed, those guys will provide that. Kind of a late surprise because he didn't have a great fall. He was shut down rehabbing his arm, was Matthew Dyer, a freshman catcher, that has really emerged as our in the mix with Stutzman and Henyon as our Hagen as our backup catcher. And that speaks volumes of his maturity to be thought of that highly as a freshman catcher. So he's doing really well.
You moved